What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be going over Superman 3. So let's get into that. Hi, my name is Leo, and if you guys like talking about anything movie, TV show, video game related, or just anything nerdy, you are in the right place. And like I said, today we are talking about Superman 3. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Now, before I give you my thoughts about Superman 3, I would love to hear all you guys' thoughts about these original Superman movies in the comment section down below. Let me know if you've seen these before, what you think about the movies, what you guys are thinking about this current review series that I'm doing, and also share your excitement for the new James Gunn Superman just around the corner. We are about 1 week away, and I'm excited to see that movie and finish off this review series so I can rank them all for you here on the channel. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into my pros. And start on my pros, once again, like all the other ones in this original kind of trilogy, or 4 movies actually, I haven't seen the 4th one yet, but is Christopher Reeves. I still think he does a fantastic job in the role of Superman. There's a lot of plot points within this movie that I don't necessarily enjoy, but I still think Christopher Reeves does the best that he possibly can do with the material that he's given to give us another great Superman performance. And I still enjoy him in the role as Superman. He still has a lot of charming aspects to him. There's some things that go on in terms of his character of kind of becoming like the evil Superman and stuff, which we'll get into a little bit later. But even during that stuff, I still think he does enough, again, with the material that he's given to have him in an enjoyable Superman, and I still enjoy him as this role. And then secondly, I think they fixed a lot of the flying effects and a lot of the more practical effects in this as well. You know, we still get certain things here and there, like Superman digitally added into an image to make him look like he's flying through the city, but there is a lot more practical flying effects as well, where it looks like they're kind of suspending him in the air. It looks like he might be even doing his own stunts as well while he's doing that, so it makes it for a much more enjoyable watch. Even though those flying sequences aren't the most epic, they still serve a better purpose of actually seeing him in the air instead of seeing like a digital rendering where it's so blurry you can barely tell that it's even him going through another blurry image of a city in the background. This is just much more believable. It works for it as well, and it just helps to actually see him flying instead of like a digital rendering. And lastly, we don't get too much of Lois Lane in this movie, which is a little unfortunate, but I don't think she's totally missed, because we do get a new romance love interest within Lana Lang, which is a kind of high school friend that Superman had back in high school when he was still living in Smallville, while this kind of whole side plot of him going back home to his like high school reunion. I enjoy their relationship and kind of that little side story that we get throughout the entire movie, and this new kind of love interest that personally I think it's a lot much more enjoyable of a love interest than him between Lois Lane. But with that being said, let's get into my cons. And it's unfortunate, I kind of already knew coming into this movie that this is one of the lesser liked movies in these 4 original Superman movies. So I kind of already had a little bit of a lower expectation, but I was hoping that this would be fun enough where I'll still enjoy it and wouldn't mind watching it again. But unfortunately, that is just not the case. There is a lot of things in here that I just don't think work at all, and it doesn't feel cohesive as a Superman movie. First, let's start off with kind of how uncohesive this movie is. We have the kind of main plot point of Superman going back home to Smallville, doing his little high school reunion, and him kind of having this little love interest. That's a lot of what Superman is doing for like the first hour or so of this film, is just being in Smallville, you know, doing little Superman things here and there when someone's in trouble. But overall, it's really kind of more of a romance story at this point. And then you have this whole side plot of this guy who works at this company who basically cheated the system, and he got money from this big rich dude in this big company. They find out about him, and they want him to use his computer skills to try to hack certain systems so he can make more money. And it's very weird how they get connected, because it's such a random moment on how they get connected, because essentially what happens is this rich dude of this company wants this guy that stole money from his company to hack a weather system up in space in the atmosphere to create like tornadoes and rainstorms in Colombia to ruin their coffee bean manufacturing, so that he can be one of the only ones that can sell coffee beans and make money. That is just such a weird plot point. And somehow, some way, while Superman was more focused in Smallville, knew that this was happening, flew all the way to Colombia, stopped the rain from ruining the coffee beans up in the field, and that's how they get connected, because now this guy was like, hey, Superman ruined our plans, and now they want to go and kill Superman. It's such a weird way to connect these two stories. Like, they just feel like they're not cohesive, like they don't mesh up together properly, and it just makes this movie just feel so jumbled and out of order and doesn't really know what it's really trying to do. And then on top of that, every character in this movie is just so like slapstick. This is probably one of the most goofy Superman movies that I've seen so far in these original ones. Just the way these characters are, the way the villain is, the way all these characters act, it's just so silly and goofy, and it just kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. You know, these original Superman movies inherently already have kind of a comic booky feel to them. But this just feels a little too far left out of field, that it just ends up kind of not fitting the tone. And especially when you get into like the second half of the movie, where this computer guy makes a kind of fake kryptonite, and it turns Superman into like this evil Superman, and they try to make it more of a darker tone when it comes to that portion of the film, but it comes off being pretty silly, especially the way they kind of treated Superman in this kind of like evil form. They kind of give him the same treatment as we get in like Spider-Man 3, where, you know, Peter Parker just becomes this very like emo, mopey, kind of douchey dickhead to everybody. And that's basically what Superman does in this movie. He's not really an evil threat. He kind of just doesn't feel like saving anybody no more. He wants to go to a bar and drink and doesn't care about nothing. It's just such a weird way to introduce this kind of like evil Superman, where he's not really a threat. He's just kind of moping around Metropolis, not giving two shits if anybody's in trouble. And it's just not the way you do that. It just feels tonally so weird. It makes the movie feel even more all over the place, and it just doesn't make for an enjoyable watch. And I think Superman in this movie also is the least intelligent that we've gotten him so far. Like, there's so many moments where there's someone that's in trouble, and he goes way out of his way to do something very specific to try to save the day, when he has an ability already to do something about it. Like, so for example, there's this fire happening at this like chemical factory, and there's this acid, and if it gets, you know, to a certain degree of heat, the chemical and the cloud of it will melt through anything, any metal, any steel, any stone, anything. And they're either trying to keep it cool, but the firefighters can't get the hoses down there because they're running out of water in the fire trucks. So instead of Superman using his, you know, cold breath to keep this acid cool, he flies 5 miles down up into wherever, to this river, uses his cold breath to freeze a layer on this lake, and then take the layer of ice out of the lake, fly it another 5 miles back to this factory to cool down the acid. Like, what? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Why would he do all that? He already has the cold breath. He can just use that. And so there's a lot of moments like that in this movie where Superman goes out of his way to do something where he could have just saved the day almost instantly in the moment and didn't have to go anywhere to do something. So again, it just makes this movie feel so tonally unbalanced. It feels like nothing really connects properly. Like, all these different sequences where characters get connected is just purely by convenience. And by the end of it, you don't really feel any threat from the villain. Superman is, you know, again, does the best he can, but there's a lot of things that I just don't like the way they handle the character in this movie. And it just ends up leaving you unsatisfied, and pretty much leaving you with a movie that is almost unwatchable for a second time. Like, I probably would never watch this movie again, because I'm just sitting there like baffled about what's going on. And it's just, I have my jaw to the floor, because I'm just so like, I don't understand what they were trying to do with this movie. You know, I'm not sure if they had no direction to go with it, so they just kind of threw something together and hope that the Superman name will, you know, make it suffice enough to be enjoyable. I'm not sure. It just feels so out of the blue, so all over the place. No real threat, and a plot point that just is uncohesive, doesn't make sense, and there's not a proper through line through any of it. But that is going to be it for this one, guys. Let me know what you guys think about the Superman series thus far. Have you guys seen this Superman 3 film. Let me know what you guys think about it. It seemingly isn't a beloved movie from what I can tell online, but I'm sure there are some people out there that do enjoy this film quite a bit. But let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section down below. Love to hear our guys' thoughts, of course. And again, if you guys like talking about the movie, TV show, video game later, or just anything nerdy, you are in the right place. And this has been Leo Nerd Talk, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.